So last week, I was focusing on how to get my life on track. I started making lists of things to do to better myself when it hit me. Charlie Cato is the most successful individual I know. If I just imitate him in everything, I'm bound to become more successful. So after digging through the archives of personal memories and Facebook photos, I was able to produce this online tutorial of how to kinda be like Charlie. First and foremost, if you want to be like Chuck, you gotta dress like Chuck. That means whether it's rain, snow, sleet, or shine, you gotta be rocking the board shorts. Now I went the extra mile and bought the Billabongs, but you can also wear Volcom or Quicksilver to pull off the look. Now when it comes to the upper body, you have two options. Option number one is a tank top to show off the disproportionately huge shoulder muscles. Now I'm only a couple days into the Charlie Cato workout regimen, so my shoulders aren't large enough to give the tank top its proper justice. So I'll go with option number two, the hoodie. Almost as essential as the board shorts is the selection of headwear. Once again, we have two options. The first is a straight brim trucker hat, preferably with some sort of surf shop logo. I only have a Montana hat here, which is acceptable, but not one of Charlie's personal favorites. One of Charlie's major pet peeves are people adjusting his hat size. To account for this, if you want to be like Charlie, you'll need to tape up the snaps on the back, or the way Charlie wears the hat, the snaps in front. If you want to get exact likeness, you should use fluorescent tape. The other option for headwear is something crocheted, preferably with a poofy ball on top. That way, no one will feel the irregular bumps on the top of your head. We'll come back to crocheting later when it comes down to how to properly woo a woman. Now that we've addressed the apparel, let's talk about what we should be eating. The Charlie diet consists of three main components: Spam, sea crustaceans, and bone marrow. Knives and forks are utensils for howleys. If you want to eat like Charlie, you'll need to be using either chopsticks or your hands. Now most of you would look at this mostly gnawed on chicken bone and say, that's a mostly gnawed on chicken bone. That can be thrown away. In order to think like Charlie, you have to view this bone the same way a canine would. Not only are there still little tidbits that Charlie's teeth could proficiently still scrape off, but also the knuckle has yet to be properly suckled. Once you get down to the bare bones, you'll want to break the bone in order to get into the innards. Now chances are you don't have a lizard's tongue like Charlie to be able to excavate all the marrow out, and that's alright. Just suck on the end a little bit and make the most of it. Now French fries, like any other French food, are a delicacy. Not something to scarf down by the handful, but something to savor. You don't just go drowning them in pools of ketchup. You need to give each fry its proper ketchup to potato proportion. To achieve this, you must use a ketchup packet to apply the condiment with the same care that a cake decorator ices a cake with. Now one major concern that isn't addressed nearly enough in the food industry is the dangers of drinking room temperature milk. Charlie has witnessed the harmful effects countless times while working in the hospital and will not drink any lactose product unless it's poured over ice. I suggest you do the same. Speaking of Charlie's career, he really is a wonderful nurse when it comes to interacting with people in the hospital sense, but he's even better at nursing a beer. When you drink, you'll want to use a koozie. That way, nobody can see how little you've been drinking. Usually 1 or 2 beers will be a night, although once in a while, if it's a blue moon, he might have 3. I'd now like to move on to teaching you some of Charlie's slang and vocab, but seeing as how I'm trying to emulate Charlie myself, I need to go take a shower. Somewhere between 3 and 4 showers a day will be adequate.